So, my dear ones, welcome into football day. And it's wonderful that you're here and you're not, doing that tailgating stuff and preparing for this wonderful celebration in this afternoon. And today, what we're looking at is finding the voice under the umbrella, under the auspices of course, our amazing global vision, and that is awakening ourselves and humanity to its spiritual magnificence through creating a compassionate world that works for everyone. And we're doing it by honoring presence and nurturing spirit and enriching the life of all we serve. And it's good to keep reminding ourselves of why we're here and what we're about. And so in this particular calling for us today is to look not at our human voice and finding a place for that, because I think we've all found that by now. And what we're looking at now is that deeper, inner, intuitive voice, the voice of our essence. And this is a voice, finding this and discovering this is a voice that doesn't speak any language at all. It doesn't speak a human language. It's speechless in that regard. It is a voice that is that inner energy and essence of all of life, all of creation. And when it comes through, it comes uninvited and usually unexpectedly, and we do not hear it as we hear the normal human voice. What we do is we embody it, and it saturates us when it comes through. It is an overall total sense and sensibility of absolute certainty in the thing that's coming through. We're absolutely certain this is so. We absolutely know it has very little to do with the me of me, and that it has come from a far greater expanse of awareness than my human consciousness can produce. And the result of it is certainty, the result of it is poise, the result of it is sure knowledge, the result of it is a movement and a depth and a heightening of ourselves. And we know that something amazing has occurred, and it had very little to do with us except we were open and receptive to it happening. So that is the voice that we want to discover more and more of, and that's the voice that we want to be in touch with more and more of, so that we can allow it to flow through the human voice. We can allow it to flow through our minds' goings on, and thus consequently influence the way we live in our lives. Because, my dear ones, we all know that no matter how long we live on this plane, it's a very short space of time, and we're here because we want to live our best life. We want to live our life soulfully. We want to live it mindfully. We want to live it wisely, and we want to live it well. So if we're going to do that, we need to have the mind, the body, the heart, and the soul in alignment with the deeper core of our being, with our greatest and truest essence. And that's what today is all about, and that's what the teaching is evoking within us, to get a little bit more momentum in this aspect of our lives and living, so that we can indeed be all that we're here to be. And so Dr. Ernest Holmes reminds us today in all of our centers that we are to remember that we are incarnations of the one Spirit. We are the incarnation of the one Spirit. We are spirit in form. Spirit chose to enter into form by means of you and by means of me, and so that you and I could experience spirit in form, that we could know what spirit is, and spirit could know what it was to be you and me in form. It's a phenomenal thought. It's an amazing thought, because for a long time, I think most of us, if not nearly all of us, have thought that God and I are separate. You know, God is this great, amazing, wonderful whole thing somewhere out there, up there, and I am this small, very little thing, and there's very little in common, and never the twain kind of shall meet. Even though the endeavor is there and the desire is there. But that's not the teaching. The teaching is that right where I am, God is, and where God is, the whole of God is, the fullness of God is, the allness of God is. and that God's power and presence is available to wherever God is, to whom God is present in, and that can be called upon at any time to be used by the user that uses me. And Spirit uses you and uses me to know itself in form, to show up in form. And of all of creation, individuals, people are the only things that God knows God's self in and is present to at that level of awareness. I mean, we are the life force of Spirit, and Spirit's whole power, all of Spirit's omniscience is available to us. The very same consciousness that walked on water, the very same consciousness that calmed the roaring sea, the very same consciousness that raised the dead, the very same consciousness that turned water into wine, is the very same consciousness that's in you and in me, available to you, available to me. And the Christed one who made it into that state of conscious awareness said so. You too can do what I have done, and greater things can you do. Amazing, isn't it? Amazing to think that this is so, and it is so. Whether you can feel it or not, whether you can believe it or not, it is the truth. And as we are told, it's only the truth and nothing but the truth that sets us free. That sets us free, and that's why we're here. We want to be able to be freer of all the incumbency of what it is to be struggling under a human egoic mind that runs us ragged too much of the time. So I don't particularly want to be discovering more and more about the human voice. I want to be discovering more and more about the Christed voice, the inner voice, the intuitive, intelligent voice that is available to me always, but must be entered into and engaged with in a different way than the human way. And that is, there's only one gate into that, and it's to be still so that you can know, to be quiet so that you can know, to be silent so that you can know the thunder and the really raucous voice of the true essence of your being, and as a result of that, to be absolutely energized and to be full of the vim and the vigor and the zest and the force and the power of life as it can be lived, of life as it can be expressed, and has been expressed to certain individuals that have walked amongst us, are still walking amongst us, and will walk amongst us. And one of those individuals could be anyone in this room. The next one could be anyone in this room. Yes, anyone. The same consciousness is available to you and is available to me and always has been available. You know. You are that point of power in all of life. That point of power that extends out and out and out and out, that has no circumference. It was Voltaire that first told us that. He realized and discovered that in himself, that when we touch that infinite intelligence that we are, then all barriers dissipate themselves, are gone. All limitations dissipate themselves, they are gone. And you and I don't have to do all the things we have to do in human life and living. We have to compare, we have to contrast, we have to analyze, we have to weigh up, we have to do this, we have to do that. But remember, in conscious consciousness, there's no time, there's no space, there's no mass, there's no weight. There's none of that. It is a pure energy, a light force energy. It's so pure and light and transparent, you can't see it. You cannot see it, you cannot define it, you cannot put it into a description. You can only embody it. You can only feel it. You can only have it pulsate through you, and there's no describing what that is like. There are no human words to do that. And in conscious consciousness, we don't need human language. You see, as Ernest Holmes keeps pointing out, there's no your mind, my mind, and God mind. If there was a your mind and a my mind and a God mind, we could never communicate with each other, because each mind would be demonstrating a language so complex, so foreign, that we just couldn't cope. It would drive us crazy. There'd be no communication, none whatsoever. And you see, I think it's because the world doesn't realize that it's in such conniptions at the moment, or in the past, or whenever. Because we do think, really, there's your mind, there's my mind, there's their mind, there's God's mind. I think that's more the feeling and the thinking than there's one mind and we're all in it. And we're all thinking into it. We're all feeling into it. And what we think into it and what we feel into it brings the outcome of everything that we express and experience. One mind, that's all there is. In his book, his textbook, Ernest Holmes, in bold letters in the middle of one page says, 1, 1, 1. There's only the one thing. And all of us are that one thing in some way or another. If you were reading Troward, you would get the same one word that's honed in on. Recognition, recognition, recognition of what? The one, one, one. Read Emerson, and what do you get? Insist, insist, insist. On what? The one thing, the one power, the one presence showing up by means of you and me. And then once we get that, also, see, we begin backwards. We try to fix everything out there and everyone out there. We try to give it and remind everybody out there of who and what they are. Well, no, we start here. I fix myself, I get it myself, I know myself. And once I do that, I don't have to do anything out there. I automatically recognize what I've discovered in myself, the one out there, automatically. And I'm in such respect of it, such reverence of it, such wonder of it, such awe of it, that I only have one thing in mind, that's all. And that is taking care of each heart at a time, serving each heart at a time, honoring each heart at a time, which is the soul of us, the essence of us, the true feeling of us, the heart, the love zone, the love zone, the love zone that is always calling us back to its medicine, to its cure. As Emmett Fox says, there is nothing enough love cannot cure. Nothing. Nothing at all. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Think of a holographic universe. Think of a hologram. Think of a hologram. If you smash a hologram, within each piece is the whole of the hologram. Think of yourself for a moment as a piece of a hologram. Now, here's the thing about this hologram piece, though. You take it up. I want you to picture it as painted all in black, as a window that's painted in black. But it's full of little holes, little holes. And when I bring my eye to the little hole, I see everything. There's not a thing I don't see. I see it all as it was in the hole. I see everything as it was. But because we're all looking at different angles, we see it slightly differently, slightly differently. That's what makes us individuated aspects. We are the same but different. And we're just different in our individual way of using the oneness, the one power, the one presence, and the one infinite being. That's all. We're the one thing. We can look through that little pinhole and see everything, but I'm going to see it uniquely, as are you. So remember, oneness and unity does not mean sameness, not at all. We are unity in diversity. We are diverse expressions of spirit. How are we? Well, you see, personality is the way we show up as the individuated self of spirit. That's the uniqueness of us, the specialness of us. That's the indispensability of us. Because we are so unique, life couldn't be itself without you or any one of us. Any one of us. Life couldn't be what life is without any single one of us. That's how unique, essential, and supremely important each one of us happens to be. Individuated expressions of the whole hologram. It's an amazing thing to comprehend. It's an amazing thing to know. Remember, my dear ones, on this game day, we are in the game of life and we are playing it whether we know it or not. And the way we play it makes all the difference in the world. Let's take the human mind, for example. Let's put the human mind in the bleachers. The human mind is there in the bleachers. It's looking in at the game, and it's analyzing the game, and it's saying it should be this and it should be that, and they should be doing this and they should be doing that. And what the hey is that fella doing over there? He didn't see a darn thing. He called it wrong. He called it wrong. He got it wrong. What's going on here? And there the human mind is sitting there and commentating on it all, judging it all, and comparing and contrasting. Take superconsciousness. What would superconsciousness be doing? The essence of me. The superconsciousness is in the field, the player's in the field. But superconsciousness would be playing the game, just being the movement of what part it was playing in the game. It would be the ball, it would be the players. And there would be no focus except to play. To play the best game you can play. And whatever game you played, superconsciousness would know that would be the best game you're playing. There'd be no anything except pure motion, pure electrifying force and power in that pure motion, just being the game itself. Because it takes the players to create the game. We wouldn't be watching the game if not each individual player was in there. And they're just being the motion, and they're being the energy, and they're being the power in the game. And the difference would be they're not in it. They're not in it to win it. They're in as win. They're in as win already. That would be the way that superconsciousness would play the game, the ball game, just by being the force and the power and the movement, whatever that was that showed up, with nothing in mind as far as an analysis or a thought of any kind, but just the delight of the pure movement in motion of the thing itself. There wouldn't be any judgment, because in superconsciousness there's no need to judge anything. Everything is isness, isness, isness. It just is what it is, and what it is perfect. What it is perfect. And that isness in you has been in you, is in you now, and always will be in you, and it's quite perfect. That's why we wouldn't be asked to be perfect, as our Creator is perfect, if it wasn't already within us and we were not already in that state of perfection. So what we're doing is discovering the voice of that perfection, and then starting to think from it humanly, to feel from it humanly, to act from it humanly. Because we are in the one mind, as the one mind, to express from the one mind, and we have no other job. Close your eyes now and indulge me for a minute, and just take 3 breaths. Just breathe 3 times. Just breathe, close your eyes and breathe, breathe. You're breathing. Has a thought arisen in your mind? If the thought has arisen in your mind, ask yourself the question, where did this thought come from? Where did this thought come from? The thought in your mind, where did it come from? Now relax and just breathe again. Just breathe, breathe, breathe. You're just breathing. I'm just breathing. That's all I'm doing. I'm just breathing. Is there another thought in your mind? Ask yourself, where did that thought come from? Where does this thought come from? Now breathe, 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 and just come back into the room. I imagine that the answer was mind. It came from my mind. Whatever the thought was, it came from my mind. That's where thought comes from. Human thought comes from the mind. From the mind. It doesn't come from them out there, that out there, that up there. It came from your mind. Be careful of what comes from your human mind, because that's not what you are, and that's not who you are, and it's not the truth. It's not the truth. What came from your human mind is not the truth. There's something more than that. We want to go beyond the human mind to consciousness, to consciousness, to consciousness. Consciousness uses the human mind and human beings on planet Earth so that we can be together on planet Earth. But what the challenge is for you and for me today in this day and age, especially today in this day and age, we're called to it. That's why we're all here together. We're called to understanding that it's so important for you and for me right now, with the world the way it is, and the world is exactly the way it's supposed to be, and we can bring about all kinds of wonderful change in the world if we think and feel and act from the one unified mind. Not the human, egoic, driven mind that says his mind, her mind, God's mind. But the one unified state of conscious awareness that cannot lead us astray, cannot do anything but direct us along the path of light, along the path of unity, along the path of truth. That's the challenge for you and for me today. And we must know that we are up to the truth. We are up to it, or we wouldn't be sitting here. We wouldn't be here. We'd be at home doing whatever it is we'd be at home doing, or off out somewhere. We probably would be where normally you couldn't go and get a parking spot. Well, today you can go anywhere and get a parking spot. So if we weren't here, we'd either be, one of those two things. But we're here, and we're here on purpose. We're here to know, to understand, to unify, to love, to be that one thing that does what? Builds bridges, builds paths, mends bridges, mends paths. We're here to be menders and builders. That's all. We're only here to be mending and building and advancing and supporting and uplifting life. But I cannot do that till I first take care of building and mending and supporting and uplifting this life here. Because people don't want me to be helping from my fumes. They want me to be helping from my fullness, my integration, my wholeness. And so that is always the initial challenge. Physician, heal thyself. And then you'll be in a position to heal or support the healing of another. And as I say, we are in this thing called the game of life, and we know how to play it if we just listen to the inner core voice that will spell out very clearly all of the rules that we can get giddy with the delight around and play the game, and play it wisely and play it well. So Spirit, by means of each one of us today, is saying, play ball, but play it as it was meant to be played, with fun, with celebration, with humor, with mirth, with that sense and sensibility that we're here to enjoy each other's company, to enjoy the life that each one is in, and to celebrate its uniqueness. That's why we're here. We're here to look at each other, yes, and if we're going to examine each other for, oh my gosh, look at the beautiful differences there are in life and living in my family, in my friends, and so on. And where does the best of all games begin? Under my own roof, in my own home. And if I can play that game well and wisely, the rest is a piece of cake out there. So, my dear ones, all is well, and this is what each one of us knows, and say it with me. Right here, right now. Right here, right now. I am in it. And I am winning in it. This game of life. And this is because God, by means of me, showed up to have a great good time. And I'm going to make sure That God gets that great good time by means of me. Beginning right here. Right now. And so it is. Yeah, play ball. Play ball.